Welcome back to another video on Insight. The pandemic has made curriculum go online, classes go online. It has increased digital screen time for children. And in this video, we explore some ways in which they can incorporate a few things in their schedule and reduce the stress and burden on their eyes. Today's video is from a session on eye health awareness organized by a school for parents, teachers, and the children. With the increase in online classes, parents and teachers are worried for the health of the eyes of children. And in this video, we have tried to explore some questions and queries that they have. Do go through the question and answer section and see if your question is answered there. If not, then do let us know in the comment section below and we will answer them for you.
Dear parents, you must be aware that Blossoms has always been paying utmost attention to overall development of the students, be it personality development, career development, or even personal health and hygiene. Every year, we have health camps in our school, but last year and this year, due to the ongoing pandemic situation, the existence of health camp was not possible, but it does not mean that we are not caring for the health of our students. We have this unique webinar for all of you where we all can learn the ways we can adopt and how we can take care of our eyes, the most precious assets that we are possessing since our birth. The online classes, as you all know, have definitely affected the eyes of our students and teachers and parents, of course. So I just hope that this webinar is going to be very helpful to all of us in dealing with the issues related to the eyes. Now we'll proceed to the webinar. But before the webinar, before we start the webinar, let me just give you a brief introduction of our guest, Dr. Sina Motalbi. Born and brought up in Sambalpur, Odisha, Dr. Motalbi has spent his initial years of basic education in Sambalpur itself. He then moved to Pune for higher education. He completed his bachelor's in clinical optometry from Dr. D.Y. Patel Institute of Optometry and Visual Sciences and master's from Amity University, Gurgaon. Sir has worked as an assistant professor at Dr. D.Y. Patil Institute of Optometry and Visual Sciences till 2019 and is currently a visiting faculty in the institute itself. He practices in the field of community optometry and provides primary health care to the deprived and needy. Noble work, noble profession, sir. Let me now request Dr. Motalbi to take over the platform.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Simita ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Sharmishta ma'am. Lakshmi Priya ma'am for being coordinating this gathering.
Thank you, sir.
I am very honored to be here. It's really vibrant. Everyone is present. I'm glad I can interact with parents as well. Well, this COVID pandemic has created a situation where we are exerting our eyes. We are really using them to viewing a lot of things. And our screen time has increased. During the first wave, schools were a little in a learning mode. They were experimenting. They were trying new things. Different duration of classes, different... some of them took some classes online. Some of them took the entire curriculum online. But now the second wave, by the second wave, we were more experienced. So we have now our classes online are more structured, and it has become a thing that that has come into our schedule and routine. So it's become quite normal to sit in front of mobile phones and laptops. And people across all age groups have started consulting ophthalmologists, optometrists across the country with various types of specific and non-specific eye complaints. So there are patients who come to us with complaints of directly not being able to see. There are patients who come to us with complaints of headaches, of other aches and pains. And it has changed our life. The pandemic has changed our life. We'll have to learn to get used to the new normal. There are the work from home schedules for working people, online classes across all age groups of children, right from first-time schoolgoers to college students. Increased online presence for social or professional reasons, has led to increased screen time, including phones, tablets, computer screens. Um, so all of this online um, explorations, online initiatives have kind of kept education going on. It has had its positive effects. We have been able to continue our syllabus, continue our curriculum, but it has also taken a toll on our um, eyes. The prolonged duration of remaining indoors, viewing computer, mobile phone screens, has implications on the health of our eyes. And so our eyes are supported by muscles, both from the inside and the outside. I'll just give you a brief, in a way, how the eye functions. There are 6 muscles that support our eyes from the outside. Helps them move in different directions. So they help them move up and down. They take them outward. They bring them inward. They make them rotate. So our eyes rotate also, and they help take them in diagonal directions. So it helps us see things. So there are these muscles that make us work. If I look to my right, the muscles are taking my eyeball to the right. Then there are certain muscles inside the eyeball, which help. The eyeball has a lens. Our eye has a lens. The muscles help change the shape of that lens. And then there are so these wherever there are muscles in our body, there is a tendency for muscles to get fatigued, to get tired, and that happens with the eyes as well. There are various processes that happen within the eye, and they get disturbed. So our eyes converge, our eyes accommodate. There are different, I won't go into those medical terms and jargons, but there are certain processes that get disturbed. And there are instances where our muscles are fatigued, where we experience pain, ocular pain, ocular tiredness. There are instances. So there's a category of problems that are caused. They are categorized as computer vision syndrome. It's your eyes start getting dry, the tear film starts evaporating faster because we are staring at the screen for too long. We forget to blink. All of these lead to this category of eye disorders called computer vision syndrome. You can read more about it. There are now, I mean, so it's important to take breaks. The pandemic has brought us to a situation where we cannot escape screen time. We have to sit for our classes. Our education has to go on. We might experience a third wave sometime soon. I hope we don't, but in case we do, and we are again further restricted from attending physical classes, our education cannot take a gap of 2 or 3 years. It has to go on. But then there are things that we can do to make this process smooth, to make this process less harmful and damaging to our eyes. It is not necessary that our eyes will end up getting spoilt because we are attending online classes. We can take certain precautions to avoid having eye ocular conditions. Now, one is to, if possible, minimize screen time. Children and adults should minimize screen time. They should take frequent breaks while using in between their classes, in between their work. Usually, we advise a 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, take a break for about 20 seconds and try looking at something that is 20 feet away. Doing this relaxes your eye muscles, as well as it enhances blood circulation to the eyes, to the neck, to the back. And you'll be able to manage certain problems related to computer vision syndrome. Now, you should ensure your children are sitting at the right posture. The parents should be a little more conscious of how they are sitting, how they should sit erect. They should have a backrest. They should be sitting on a proper chair that supports their back, because this is something that they do every day. for a fixed number of hours. Another tip that we share with the parents is to use larger displays. Now you have a mobile phone and you also have a TV that is 55, 65 inches. Um, even nowadays TVs are quite accessible, quite available. They have 32 inches TVs, very cheap. Um, so as far as possible, try to use larger screens, because even on the mobile phone, when the child focuses on a box that is very tiny, um, he or she is training their eyes. It requires certain amount of pressure on the muscles of the eye, on the muscles of the neck. It is your body's response. The moment you see something tiny and small, you tend to go forward from your neck, and you tend to squeeze your eyes to focus. So in order to avoid that, if your display is larger, it could be a tablet, it could be a laptop, it could be a television. There are various ways you can even connect your phone to your television. There are Wi-Fi technologies, there are wired technologies which you can connect your phone to the television screen, and the child can view the class there. These are some things that are very helpful. It relaxes accommodation, it relaxes the muscles when they see larger objects. Of course, it's also not, you cannot choose haphazardly. Every television size has a particular distance to view it from. So it is very important when we go out there to buy our televisions, we usually opt for the biggest. Biggest is the best, is what we believe. But whatever the TV size, there is an optimal or correct distance from which it has to be viewed. And the more the size of the TV increases, the farther you should sit from the television for a normal image to fall on your eyes, on the retina. So that also you should keep in mind while buying a larger display. The brightness of the screen should be set. If we are using a mobile phone, the image is already very small. And if the brightness is also lower, then there is further pressure and stress falling on the eyes. Another important tip is to encourage the child to play outside. Now, there are a few reasons for this. There are studies that have shown that playing outside significantly reduces the chances of developing myopia. There are also been evidences that there is an association between vitamin D levels and myopia. So the luminance of daylight, the daylight in general, has been found to reduce the chances of developing myopia. And when the child goes outside, they are suddenly exposed to long distances. They look at things that are far away. In the house, maximum we have 10 feet or 13 feet room, and that is our maximum distance. So the whole day, if we are at home, we are viewing things at very near distance. We don't really look at things at very far away. So it's important for them to go out to look at things 30 feet, 40 feet, 50, 100 feet away from them, to exercise their eyes, to look in each direction, so that these muscles are working. They're not only focused on one point, in one posture, in one position the whole time. Diet is very important. Now, you should add green leafy vegetables, fresh fruits, to protect the eyes from becoming dry and improving eye health in general. Have lots of fluids. Water is a magical, is a magic potion. Water really, our body is mostly water. So we really should increase the consumption of our water, at least 3 liters, if possible 4 liters per day. If the child has spectacles, if you are someone who is wearing glasses are not a problem. You should know this. Glasses are the solution. we often think of glasses as a problem. Oh, my child has glasses, and I'm now very concerned. I'm very upset. But it's the glasses are actually making the child see 100%. Without glasses, the child has a problem. Without glasses, the child is seeing, I don't know, 70%, 80%, 90%, depending on their power. But with the glasses, they are fine. They are as normal as anybody else. So while they are sitting for their classes, ensure that they are wearing their glasses. Whenever there's an online class, they should be having their spectacles on, because already there is pressure on the eyes, there is stress on the muscles. If on top of that they are not wearing accurate power of glasses, then the pressure further enhances. They are seeing what they are seeing not clear. They are seeing it blur. So the pressure doubles, it mounts, and it leads to increase in number, increase in their power, and headaches, other non-specific complaints. Please get their eyes examined regularly. Go for regular eye checkups, follow-ups. The doctor often tells you that, put this drop, or you wear this spectacle and come back to me after 15 days, 20 days. Come back to them. Go for the follow-up. Even if it's the pandemic, don't worry. I feel eye clinics are quite well maintained, quite safe. Government, the Indian Council of Medical Research, has generated certain protocols which eye clinics have to follow, and it is exactly for eye clinics. So they are using certain solutions to disinfect their floors, their instruments. Everything is sanitized. If your child has complaints of not being able to see clearly or pain in the eyes, take them immediately for a checkup. Even if it's a general eye checkup, don't delay it. For parents and teachers, if we have teachers also on this call, it will be important for you to observe the child. Of course, I'm sure you already do that. But pay attention to the way they read, the way they are performing, the way they write. There are certain signs that we can catch if they are having trouble with their vision. Yeah, and I feel if we are able to kind of keep these factors under control, under check, we will be able to definitely work with our eyes very smoothly. Our eyes are built to see. Our eyes are built to make us do near work, make us do fine work, make us look at distance, make us look at distances that are short. So our eyes are built to do that. We don't have to worry that, yeah, we have to worry when we don't take certain precautions. Then we are overloading it, we are overburdening it. And in general, school students have more pressure on their eyes. And especially because they have this pressure, I would recommend that parents also keep a time of the day as no screen time. So, for example, if you are eating, say on the dining table, we cannot have phones, we cannot watch videos on YouTube. Phones have to be kept away, screens have to be off. We should enjoy family time. We should enjoy the act of eating together. We should enjoy the act of talking to our parents, talking to our brothers, sisters, because that human touch, that human connection that we have with each other, which is very organic, which is inbuilt in us, we should not lose that because technology has come into our lives and we are asked to stare at a computer screen. That should not take away the time we have with family. We should dedicate a time. I'm sure all students have a timetable at home for their study. So in that timetable, you add half an hour of family time. You add 1 hour, half an hour or 1 hour of time away from screen, any kind of screen. Think and see what all screens are around you. It could be a mobile screen, it could be a laptop screen, it could be a television screen. There are a lot of screens around us. So ensure that this 1 hour in your timetable is free from any form of screen, and you are spending time talking to people. It could be talking to your sister, your brother, your parents, your grandparents, your uncles, aunts. Um, this itself calms us down, relaxes us down, and when we are relaxed and we are calm, our brain also sends impulses to our eyes to relax, to calm. There is our eyes are also one of the organs with which we experience the world around us. So our nervous system relies heavily on our eyes. And when we tell our brain that there is a lot of stress around us, then it immediately impacts our eyes because it responds, reacts to stress. Um, I would like to leave it open now for questions also. I don't want to be constantly talking. Please feel free to ask me questions.
Yes, dear parents and students, this is an interactive session as sir has already mentioned. Please feel free to ask any questions, anything coming up regarding the eyes with respect to eyes. Sir, there's a query for you, Dr. Motalbi. Please tell us about the vegetables and fruits that we need to have in order to have good eyesight.
Yes, ma'am. There are a lot of foods that are good for the eyes. So basically, there are certain vitamins that are important. Vitamin C, uh, lutein, zeaxanthin, essential fatty acids, vitamin E, zinc. All of these are what studies have shown that are helpful for the eyes. Now, vitamin C, we get it in oranges, in grapefruit, strawberries, papaya, peppers, tomatoes. Lutein and zeaxanthin, you can find it in persimmons, broccoli, corn, peas, tangerines. Um, Essential fatty acids, omega-3 fatty acids, they can support the eye's oily outer layer, help reduce inflammation. They can be found in fish, and fortunately we have fish in our diet here. So different fishes have essential omega-3 fatty acids. Vitamin E can be found in certain oils, sunflower oil, corn oil, um, nuts like almonds and cashews. Um, Sweet potatoes have vitamin E. Zinc can be found in legumes, in the dals that we eat. Again, in certain dry fruits, certain seeds. Um, in meat also, in meat and chicken also, we can find zinc. These are some of the vegetables I feel will be helpful. Of course, these don't magically cure your eyes. If you have lost vision or if you have reduced vision, it will not give you back vision, but it helps our eyes maintain their health. It means it helps them sustain their health.
The second question that has come up is regarding the screen time. We have been talking about the screen time, reducing the screen time, but we are all dependent on screen these days. So what is the maximum time that a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, or even a 5th grader should devote towards the screen? Maximum that we can have.
Yes.
Let's start from our 5-year-olds.
Yes. Ma'am, so this question in general has been there in our in studies and research. Now, it's difficult to give one fixed duration because eye types are different. Some eye types are more robust. Some are more sensitive. Some of us already have certain ocular conditions. We are wearing spectacles. So all of these then become kind of different categories, and different categories will have to be addressed specifically. So we'll have to have different hours for each category. So it's a very daunting task. But in general, 4 to 5 hours of constant screen time is the limit. We push the limit. So I feel around 4 to 5 hours with adequate breaks in between. 4 to 5 hours is the max. If we are able to reduce it, if we are able to make it half, it is best. Um, there is a lot of, there's a big chunk of online classes, online lectures that we have to attend. We cannot escape that. But we can plan for our recreation time. You know, there are podcasts available. Now, podcasts don't require you to see. It cancels out the visual input. It's only hearing. It includes audio books. It includes small lectures on some topics. So once the online class is over, we can switch to podcasts. Now our child might want to listen to, I don't know, a song or a story or a educational thing. They don't have to watch it on YouTube. They can just go and listen to it somewhere else. Or even if it's playing on YouTube, the video can be turned, the phone can be turned, and they can just listen to the audio if it's connected to a good speaker. So these kinds of replacements we can kind of incorporate in our schedule. Then the time outside the class is not spent again in viewing things.
And one more thing that comes to the mind, we need to take breaks. Okay, but do these breaks mean only closing the eyes and giving rest to the eyes, or we can do some exercises as well? As it is, we should be doing some eyes exercises, but this gap that we are having, so breaks between the screen time. So should those breaks be devoted entirely towards just closing the eyes, or eye exercises as well?
Yes, yes. It should include exercises as well. And one very simple exercise is to just look at something which is 20 feet away from us. That is it. That's an exercise for your eyes. We call it the 20-20-20 rule. For every 20 minutes, you should look at something that is 20 feet away for 20 seconds. When we look at something that is far away, we are relaxing our eyes. And again, when we look at something near to us, we are again stressing our eyes. We are exerting our eyes. The breaks that we take should include looking at distant objects. I suggest you take your child to the balcony, ask them not to move their head, and look at objects. Birds specifically, birds help a lot. If you're not moving your eyes and you are just following the bird, you are kind of moving your eyes from right to left, from left to right. Sometimes the bird moves up, down. It's something that is recreational. It refreshes their mind. These are a few things that you should do during breaks, including closing your eyes, relaxing it in that way also, but not only that.
Sir, even we teachers are facing some problems.
Yes,
we have to look at the screen many hours a day.
Right.
Not just for taking classes. So any particular advices, any tips for us?
Yeah, that's
and parents
true.
also. I know that parents also sitting with the children during the classes, especially the lower classes. So they are also having some screen time.
Yes, yes, that's true. And in fact, adult eyes are more prone to certain conditions. The children are still in their growing ages, developing ages. The body kind of manages, even if there is overload on it. If it's overloaded, there are ways in which the body handles it. But in adults, we tend to feel fatigue and stress more soon. Now, there are a few things that we can take care. For example, if you are viewing a screen, you should ensure that the glare and there's no unwanted reflections coming off your screen. Many times, if you are sitting behind a tube light, you will see the image of the tube light on your screen. We call that as a glare. It is a disturbing glare, which reduces the clarity of the uh, laptop screen. So you align your screen in a way, either lift it or bring it down, so that there's no unwanted reflection on your screen. The other
Change
thing
your
we
sitting
suggest,
position.
Yes, the other thing is the sitting position and the position of the laptop. Now my laptop position is not at the ideal position. If I sit straight, my laptop is much lower than my eyes. It's almost 1 feet lower than my eyes. The laptop should be at the level of your eyes. So this should be the ideal way of looking at a laptop while talking. Now the best uh, one of the good ways of putting the laptop is on a high shelf and standing and giving the lecture or taking the class, because then it also stimulates your legs, your other body parts. If standing is difficult for you for too long, then you can sit and take lectures. That is also fine, but ensure that your laptop has some books under it, or your table is at a height which brings your laptop to your neck level, so you don't go forward and you don't look down for too long, uh, not developing neck strain, neck fatigue. This is one thing you can do. Now, for adults, we can also be careful of blinking enough. Many a times our eyes start watering and getting dry because we don't blink often. We don't realize, but when we are looking at something, the brain automatically sends an impulse to the eye saying, don't blink because you have to read. Don't blink because you have to change screen. You have to change your slide. So we have to constantly tell the brain that, please blink. Please give the eyes an impulse to blink. So this you can do. You can stick a paper on the edge of your laptop screen, write blink on it, stick it on your laptop so that you look at it and you remember to blink.
Actually, sir, one more question has come up from a parent. How to recover, how to get rid of the eye infection? Supposing somebody is having an eye infection and recovery, any particular suggestions for getting rid of it?
Yes. You should, for infections, you should follow your prescription very closely. Your doctor will give you an eye prescription. He will tell you put this drop twice a day for these many days, and then reduce it and make it this many times for these many days. So you have to follow exactly that. To avoid spreading that infection, you can do a few things. Sometimes we have an eye infection in one of our eyes. And if we are not careful, we will ourselves transmit it to the other eye, because we use a tissue paper or a handkerchief or sometimes our clothes to wipe our tears, to take care of our eyes, to clean it. And with the same hand, with the same handkerchief, we also mistakenly touch the other eye. So we transmit infection from one eye, if it's viral, to the other eye, or even bacterial. Same thing can happen with our family members. If we get conjunctivitis, there is a high chance that our parents, our sisters, our brothers with whom we interact, and with whom we share certain instruments, certain things in the house like towels, taps, they also might catch it. So we have to be careful not to spread it.
There's one more question. I think that would be the last question that we'll be taking up right now. Can we see a green thing like trees, leaves for the eyes? The question is, green things, are they good for the eyes? And the second question that madam has posted is that good for our, yes, if we study in dark, what will happen?
Yes, that's a very good
question. Two questions posted by one of the parents.
Yes, ma'am. That's a very good question, actually. Human eyes, before being used to walls and paintings behind us, before being used to this, we were used to greenery. We used to live in forests. We used to live in huts, which would open outside to forests. I have come across studies that say that green color of nature basically, calms your mind down. It soothes your brain. And we can't explain this feeling. We can't explain exactly how it happens. It just happens. You are in nature and it helps you regain the energy that you have spent. So yes, definitely, it is important to take breaks and go amidst nature, enjoy the beauty of nature, observe plants, trees. And studying in dark also is not correct, because the screen of your laptop, or the brightness of the screen of your laptop or your mobile phone or tablet or television should be 10 to 20% less than the brightness of your environment. So if you have a tube light and a bulb in your room, your brightness of your screen should be less than that. It should not be more than that. So, complete darkness is definitely not recommended. You have to have some background lighting.
So Kyra Singh has come with something. Kyra?
Yeah. Kajal. Yeah. Yes. Kajal.
Sorry, Kajal. Does
Kajal.
Kajal has a bad effect on that? Yes,
It doesn't have a bad effect in the sense if you are using it occasionally. If you are using it even for a long time, if you are using a kajal that is of a good quality, the cosmetics also have to be of a certain quality. It should not be expired. The expiry of cosmetics is very less. If you look at the brands and their expiry dates, 3 months, 6 months, 5 months after you open, if it's a kajal, if it's a mascara, or if it's any other product, once it's opened, the expiry period is quite short. So if you are using a kajal that is within the period of use, do not sleep with the kajal. Our eyelids have tiny micro pores out of which oil is secreted, our tears are secreted. Now, if we put a black substance on our eyelid, it also goes into the pores and blocks it. So we have to ensure that we put kajal for a limited time of the day, and then we wipe it off carefully and allow these holes also, these pores to function. We don't keep them blocked.
There's one more question. Soumya, how do we get total blindness?
So total blindness, has a lot of reasons. There are many reasons where you can develop blindness. Our eyes have different structures through which we see, and these are transparent structures. So any damage to them, any opacity in any of these structures will cause a permanent blindness. Some are born with certain conditions that gives them permanent blindness. There are many things. We should be very careful of our eyes. That's why while doing certain activities, we have to be careful that nothing impacts our eyes. We should wear protective glasses if we are doing certain harmful work.
One more question, I think, Sarmishta ma'am, from Aryan.
When we wake up, why our eyes sometimes red?
Red.
Well, that also has different reasons. If it is constantly red and burning and itching and it remains that way, then you should get your eyes examined. But little bit of redness is fine, because when our eyes are closed, our brain also is sending more blood to our eyes. In our body, blood is the carrier of nutrients, and it is also the carrier of waste products. So there is oxygenated blood, there is deoxygenated blood, blood with oxygen, blood without oxygen. So our eyes require refreshment, they require nourishment. So when we close our eyes and when we sleep, our brain automatically signals our eyes to drain all the waste and to gain all the nutrients, because that is the time when it is not doing anything else. So that's why when we immediately wake up, and if our sleep cycle is not complete, then our eye is still getting nutrients. And that is why our blood vessels are more thick, they are more expanded. Whereas when we sleep well, we usually get red eyes when we sleep less. When we sleep enough, then the brain finishes the process and makes our eyes ready for work, ready for the whole day's activity.
So I think we'll wind up this session. And I really believe that it was a very interactive session with Sir giving us so many nice insights about eye care, eye health, and parents interacting from their side, getting knowledge. And I am sure there's a commitment in everybody's mind regarding taking proper care of the eyes of the children, reducing the screen time, having a no screen hour in a day, at least 1 hour a day with no screen available to them. So thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Motalvi, for taking your precious time out. I'm sure you are having a very busy schedule and interacting with us and resolving most of the issues that have been posted by the parents.
I hope this video was helpful for you. In case you have any questions that were not answered, please do mention them in the comments below and we will ensure to get back to you. Thank you for watching.